Hey everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Alex.
And today we'll be continuing our Mega Man series with a ranking of the Robot Masters of Mega Man 4 from worst to best, our last video of 2022. As the most influential game to the Mega Man series, 4 remains a community-praised classic and is generally considered as one of the best of the 6 NES Mega Man titles. While I stand to disagree with that and think 2 is the only one even remotely enjoyable, my opinion on the overall game is also irrelevant, and where it counts, at least for this video, is its Robot Masters. I did enjoy Mega Man 4 at times, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't, and that's thanks entirely to the introduction of the Mega Buster and Dr. Cossack, this game's replacement for Dr. Wily, who tragically died in Mega Man 3. Like he did in Mega Man 2. And Mega Man 1. Anyways, Mega Man 4 was surprisingly enjoyable on the off occasion. It has a noticeable leap in color complexity and background detail, it being one of the last games of the 8-bit era. As per usual, this isn't just going over the forgettable boss fights at the end of each level, rather it's a ranking of the levels themselves. How do they stack up? Let's find out.
Most of the Robot Masters ostensibly have some sort of purpose. Guts Man moved large deposits of construction rubble, Bomb Man did demolition work, so on and so forth. Ring Man, however, just exists to be a cock-munching shit. His stage has some of the best music in the entire series, and yet he still manages to be one of the biggest bastards in this series thanks to every other aspect of the level. How do you even do that? Sparkman's stage is a bit evil, but not enough that he suffered so tremendously in our ranking. The same cannot be said of Ringman. While Sparkman at least has the decency to instantly kill you when you fuck up in the last room, Ringman likes to toy with you until your soul is broken. That first stretch with the retracting platforms and wall turrets feels like the Phantom of Elecman is taunting me, once again making me suffer atrocious vertical platforming. They even have the gall to taunt you with those happy fun time looking rainbow designs on these evil ass platforms. Go fuck yourself with your rainbows, you ring-loving piece of shit. Your reward for suffering that god-awful ordeal is the first of multiple fights with Hippo Platter, the most irritating mini-boss in the entire series. In real life, hippos are known to be dangerous to nearby boats due to the size and velocity of their enormous shits. The same holds true in a sense in the game. This fight is a dangerous stream of bullshit. Spending 10 years jumping and mashing the shoot button just to get one hit in is absolutely enthralling, especially when he's constantly vomiting out awkwardly moving missiles. If I was Mega Man, I'd make sure to pause to piss out some oil or whatever bodily fluid he's got handy on the scrap metal when I was done busting these things up. Finally, there's the space-themed bit with the platforms that retract the opposite direction of before, full of homing Saturn robots. In case you forgot how annoying enemies respawning when they're moved off screen is, this should be a heavy-handed reminder. The fight is relievingly easy. I came in with the Pharaoh shot handy, but even with just the Mega Buster, you should have little trouble taking down this nefarious ring lover. Hey asshole, I have a ring for you. It's called the Prince Albert piercing. Enjoy robot hell, punk.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. Both in this and Mario Boss Remix if you're familiar with that game, one of the great Flash games of our era. It's a shame Adobe Flash Player is dead. I think it kept me from doing a lot of horrible things when I was younger, or at least it did, until I got to Brightman and got never-ending flashbangs up the fucking wazoo. And that's just the primitive boss fight. Unlike earlier Mega Man games, 4's individual themes are pretty long, and even the weaker ones, like Brightman's, are still pretty good. You know what else I really like? Platformers that take away your vision. This isn't that bad because of the overabundance of dumb pawns, but after 1 or 2 deaths you don't really give a shit about fair enemy placement. I hope I get to shoot a dumb pawn up Dr. Cossack's asshole. The majority of this level is spent riding mechanical grasshoppers on top of spikes because, well, fucking duh, and finishes with a pitch black roller coaster that's unsurprisingly pretty miserable unless you're a degenerate like me and just rewind infinitely until you make it. Brightman himself is a war crime also. Unlike most bosses, it takes 7 hits from his weakness, Toadman's Rain Flush, to kill him. He can just straight up freeze you at any point also, and just to put it out there, even Pink Kitty Rose couldn't no damage the walking gigawatt.
Dustman is also an asshole, but his stage is so outlandishly dickish that it just becomes sorta funny. It's honestly not that bad except for the one trash compactor room, which is cruel to the point of comedy as I stated earlier. After spending multiple cycles button mashing to clear the way of garbage, you'll definitely get caught off guard at least once sliding under the low ceiling only to unexpectedly meet another trash wall with barely enough time to get to safety if you weren't expecting it. I actually never died here, but I remember thinking that they could not have designed this part with a straight face. I mostly died at those pits you have to jump where the flying hamburger guys try to intercept you. I thought those were unfair at first, but when I looked back over my gameplay, most of my deaths were just just me being an impatient moron. Dustman himself is one of those invincibility spammer robots like Magnet Man, although thankfully he's way less likely to hit you than any of his compatriots, so his bid for time is worthless. His dust shot can get you with a shrapnel, but it doesn't really do all that much damage, so you can spam him to death with cock rings without much effort. Dustman may be a prick, but I kinda dig his design, and he at least feels dickish in a self-aware sense, making him less awful than the two guys below him. Incredible that not one but two Robot Masters here could suck more than a guy with a vacuum on his head.
Hey, here's an idea. Let's take over the world and make one of the 8 robots we're going to use to do it after a fucking toad. A long time ago, my friend and I built a little toad hut for this one toad who would always show up right by his house's front steps, and then it got run over by a bike, I think. Anyways, Toadman's alright. I think because I hate these games with such a burning passion that the second I turn them off, my brain uses all of my internal energy to completely wipe out any memory of the experience. This is one of those levels that just has as many enemies as the game can possibly fit onto a screen for some reason. I guess it's challenging, but it's more just a bullshit barrage. Once you make it into the sewers, you travel through the water, which looks pretty drinkable for, well, sewage, but everything comes to a halt with, and I take Japanese now, Eskaru, the giant snail mini-boss. Well, it would be challenging if the Mega Buster wasn't a thing. Thank God for Dr. Light, who's still genuinely one of the dumbest fucking protagonists ever. Toadman's AI is pretty funny. Once he leaps towards you, you can just continuously slide under his little jumps, then cancel your animation, spread fire Toadman, and do it again until he dies. It's the first Robot Master you'll go through, so it's not absolutely crazy, but Toadman's uninsulting.
I don't know what Jack is on about. I love Drillman. He's cool as hell. Who doesn't love drills? Every fictional character associated with drills kicks ass. Take the rapping robot from Skylanders Giants, like half of everything Dr. Eggman's ever made, and literally everybody in Gurren Lagann. Drillman can dig around underground and fire exploding drill rockets. This fight is totally insane. It's an absolute madhouse. The stage is alright. Nothing that really pissed me off, which is more than 75% of these stages can say. The spikes being drills is a nice little touch that reminds me a bit of Needleman's stage. The last room where giant puke boulders fall on top of you is made a lot more interesting with the light switches. Nice of them to go to the extra mile. All said and done, I just think drills are awesome and the stage is fair, which is enough to win my favor amongst this lot.
Dive Man. Now, what the hell's a dive? A dive is a water, I guess. He dives underwater? I don't know. This level looks like all the Minecraft creative huts I would build with glass and then put water on one side and lava on the other. Basically, the entire level is a patience test. Fish are constantly jumping out of the water, sea shrooms from Plants vs. Zombies are constantly bobbing up and down, and Mets with snorkels 40 feet underwater, which is stupid as fuck because they're just sucking in water anyways, are hiding with their not obvious neon yellow helmets at every given turn. It is pretty neat that if you take a shortcut and go through a really cruel pit, you can unlock the rocket submarine, which makes this level go by way quicker, although you have to restart from the beginning if you do this. Anyways, Dive Man's alright. His weakness is one of those stupid fucking special weapons that creates a ring around you that you need to touch the boss with to damage them, but the skull barrier also prevents you from taking damage from his rockets, so that's a plus. You can also use Dust Crusher, but you're an asshole if you do. Dive Man's pretty decent. He's one of the better robot masters of the earlier Mega Man games and is thematically alright as well.
I was a big ancient Egypt guy as a kid. I had an encyclopedia on it that I read all the time. Valley of Kings, Pyramids of Giza, all that jazz. I'm sure everybody can agree that pyramids are awesome. That said, this stage is disturbingly unclear about its being a pyramid or not. If I didn't know better, I'd think it was a regular old tomb full of mummies and robot scorpions. Well, those guys in the weird striped airbag platform things. Can't imagine King Tut ever owning one of them, but I suppose it has been a while since I checked that textbook. There are two main parts to this stage, the exterior quicksand area and the interior tomb one. Basically nothing of note other than the mummies who use trapdoors in the wall to surprise you, but if you're a chronic Mega Buster charger like me, their fates are sealed the moment they pop into view. If you know what you're doing in general, you can be through this stage in the time it takes for a health bar to fill. I'm only half kidding. Pharaoh Man has a cool namesake and a weapon that, while it doesn't really seem fitting, isn't too shabby. Solid.
Hell yeah, a heavy metal Mega Man boss. What the fuck? The level itself is a gigantic vertebrae, or something, and is set in Hoth? some sort of tundra for some reason. There's probably a canonical comic story bit behind it or something, but to be brutally honest, I do not give a fuck about Mega Man lore. This level has the most varied and least frustrating enemy design, which inherently makes it better than any other based on that alone. The theme is also pretty good, but unfitting for a dude who's a cloak away from being the Grim Reaper in appearance. Skullman himself has 3 weaknesses: the Rain Flush, Ring Boomerang, and Dust Crusher in that order. The Dust Crusher is fucking useless. It can't even break his barrier, but the other 2 can, and the Rain Flush deals the most damage of the 3 but is the least viable, so use the Ring Boomerang. This fight is really engaging and very intense, so that's a big positive. It's not easy by any means, but on the off chance you somehow evade his super long combo, it's a pretty rewarding feeling. Skullman was a no-brainer for the best Robot Master in Mega Man 4 for me, and here's to Mega Man 5 soon to come. Wahoo.
Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Keep an eye out for our next Mega Man video, which will hopefully be out sometime in the next year, whenever we get some downtime, Lord willing. That's all for now. Deuces.